passed on from one generation to the next generation without changing anything. And that the source is a genuine source. It's like, there's electric cables all over the floor here. And as long as the electric cable is plugged into the outlet and they paid their electric bill, then you touch the wire and you're going to get electricity. But wires that aren't plugged into the electric outlet, and they haven't paid their electricity bill, it looks like a wire, it looks like a cable, but it doesn't give any electricity. Similarly, the cyclic succession principle is it's unbroken line, and the source is the powerhouse. Krishna is the powerhouse. And Krishna passes on this teaching to Lord Brahman, that there's a line of the succession that comes down to a present day. So this rendering is not scholarship, because there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of scholars that have learned Sanskrit and meta translation, and there's no electricity, no power, though that doesn't have the same effect. Looks right, it looks like, it's nice. So the speaker of Bhagavad Gita, this powerhouse personality, is Krishna. He's not just power, he is the person behind the power, the powerful, from which the power comes. And in Bhagavad Gita, there's different things. It's just teachings of yoga. Yoga is popular. When most people think of yoga, they think of one thing, maybe two things. Physical exercises, hatha yoga. That's the physical part. And then there's the meditation part, the body and the mind, the two parts. And they go together. It's without all the detail. It's one. That's part of the eightfold yoga system. That's one of the yoga systems. And the whole of the yoga systems. You heard of karma. There's karma yoga. There's yoga of knowledge, or Gyan yoga. There's yoga of meditation, Dhyan yoga. There's yoga of mysticism. There's Ashtanga yoga, and so forth. And then there's the conclusion of all those. Could you do something with this ring back? There's the conclusion of all those yoga systems that are meant to make the full connection with the powerhouse. And the conclusion, the final instruction in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna requests or suggests or gives the instruction. So many things I've taught, they're all dependent upon one thing. Just like, here's a nice chandelier. And, they're different chandeliers, but there's something they have in common, and that's they're suspended by something. What do you want me to do? If I make it closer, it's going to ring back. How close do you want it to ring back? We're adjusting. So the final instruction of Bhagavad Gita is, there's this most important thing of all the important things. All other important things are supported by this one important thing. And the one important thing is, take shelter of me. Or stronger, surrender to me fully. Mam ekam. Ekam means alone, one. Ekam means one. Mam ekam sharanam. Take shelter of me only. And all other things will be accomplished. All the other parts of the chandelier will be taken care of because you did the one thing. But you don't do the one thing, and the other things, chandelier lying on the floor it's not so functional. It's a chandelier, but it's not functional. So the one thing makes everything functional, makes everything effective. All the other systems of yoga and knowledge and beneficial. Well, there's one thing. And Krishna appeared, the picture of time in the Vedic conception as time moves in cycles. It's winter. Wait a while. Spring. Summer. Fall. Winter. 4 seasons in 1 year. Or a smaller cycle, day and night. Phases of the moon, etc. Time moves. Time is a force, an energy that moves things, and it moves in cycles. So when Krishna departed, it marked the end of a particular juncture of time, and then next came the next juncture of time. It's called the yuga, or period of time, yuga. So after Krishna departs, Kali Yuga begins. It's like winter season. It's like the qualities of humankind go down sharply and continue to go down and down and down. So Krishna was considering this teaching that I gave in Bhagavad Gita. It's now Kali Yuga, after I've departed and been back to my own abode. How are people going to understand it? They can understand it if someone shows them this is how you can understand it and how you live accordingly, theory and experience. What to do? So this is just making it really simple. Krishna then considered, I can send someone or I can empower someone, but nothing better than I come myself and teach how to follow the Bhagavad Gita properly, how to live your life in such a way you're linked with the Supreme in every aspect of life, in all different ages and all different socioeconomic backgrounds. You just how people can stay connected in this age of Kali. It's not a nice time for spiritual progress. Not a nice time. So he came. And when he came, there's a nice verse that says, and making it simple, his complexion was like that of Radharani. Who's Radharani? Radharani there's Krishna, and then there's the pleasure potency of Krishna. Male and female. The female counterpart is Radha. Krishna. You've heard? No. Okay, so I'll do, okay. I'm trying to go slowly, but I want to get to somewhere. No. Everyone's it's hearing 101 is just fine. So he came in the mood of and in the complexion of Radha. Krishna's color is sham, or darkish, like a rain cloud. Picture, heavy rain cloud. It's darkish, blue-black kind of dark color, rain cloud. And Radha is gold. So gold, molten gold, and blue-black, they go well together. So Radha and Krishna, they go well together. So he's Krishna himself, but not in the color of Krishna, in the color or complexion of Radha, golden. And he accepted the mood, but the complexion and the mood of Radha. The mood of Radha is his pleasure potency. She simply wants his happiness, and he wants her happiness. It's a nice, loving exchange between the two, Radha and Krishna. So is Krishna himself in the mood of Radha and the complexion of Radha. That's what this book is. We have 2 books on the table. This is a 17-volume publication. It's the life and the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. That's his name, Lord Chaitanya. So Lord Chaitanya didn't write books. I mean, Krishna didn't write books either. Krishna spoke, and books about what he spoke were written. Bhagavad Gita, he didn't write it. It was spoken and it was written. So Lord Chaitanya also didn't write books. Many teachers write books, but he didn't write books. He taught, and he showed by example. And of the persons that he showed by example to, they were really elevated in character and quality and you know, in all respects. Two of them, there were many, and two of them were directly sent by Lord Chaitanya to the place where Krishna took birth or had his childhood pastimes in India, a place called Vrindavan. Never heard of that place before, right? Okay. It's okay. 101. So he sent him to Vrindavan because so much time had passed since Krishna's activities in Vrindavan. The places of his pastimes were lost over time. So he wanted them to reestablish where those places of Krishna's pastimes were. And they did. And the second was to become teachers of the process of Bhagavad Gita. Yeah. Giving one's life fully in devotion to Krishna. Mamekam Shanaram, taking full shelter of him. So they wrote books according to the teachings given by Lord Chaitanya on that process of taking shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is one of our rituals in the Hare Krishna movement. Watch. Go ahead, do it. Go ahead. The Hare Krishna ritual. People like it. I don't know if I don't like it, but they like it so. So there were two principal persons, there are many, but two principal persons. One of them I'm going to read something about, that's Sanatana Goswami, because that's where I started. Anybody need a little background on who is Sanatana Goswami? And she pointed to you, so we'll. Sanatana Goswami was during Lord Chaitanya's time, he was prime minister of about 1/3 of India. During that period of time, the Pathans, which were Muslim rulers with big armies, they invaded the northeastern part of India and they took over. And without the detail, they conscripted this very highly educated person, Sanatana, to serve in the government of the king. He didn't want to do that. Fast forward, he left. He was put in jail. He tricked the jail keeper to set him free without the detail. And he ran, or head for the hills for one purpose. He wanted to be with Lord Chaitanya. It's really nice. I'm giving you the little sketches. Okay. And when he met Lord Chaitanya, he is this powerful administrator in government, 1/3 of India, prime minister of. There was a king above him, but he was the prime minister. And he was really smart in how to do stuff. At the same time, he was incredibly spiritually strong intellect, deep by his upbringing and so forth. Many nice things to say. But these two main qualifications: good administration, more than good, like superlative, and his acumen in understanding spiritual topics was equally good. When he met Lord Chaitanya, he had two questions. He came before him with a straw in his teeth, which is a sign of humility, fell before him, touched his feet, and said, I have two questions. Who am I? That's a good starting point. And why do I have to suffer in material existence? Why? I don't like to suffer. Nobody likes to suffer, but we're forced to suffer. Why? Now, there was a what to do comes after the why. Why is it there? Then you can understand what to do. Like I have a disease. What's the nature of this disease that I have? So then you can understand what to do once you diagnose the disease. So similarly, he's having, the section I want to read from is related to what we just did this weekend. What we just did this weekend, like many of the people, if not all the people in the room here, were with us over the weekend, Friday evening, Saturday, Sunday, doing one thing. I mean, building up to doing one thing. Just the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Did she teach you what that is? No? You've heard the word mantra? Okay. Man is a Sanskrit word that refers to the mind. Man. Tra means to deliver. You put the two syllables together. Mantra is that which frees the mind from stuff, attachment to the temporary. And we're attached to the temporary. And that's one of the reasons why we suffer. It's like very simple. We're not attached to suffering, but we're attached to the sources of suffering. We're not attached to be miserable. We're attached to the sources of misery. So his question, why am I forced to undergo suffering? You're attached to the miserable. Therefore you're miserable. And instead of being attached to that which is on the opposite end of the spectrum, or transcendental, or free from material contact, completely squeaky clean. You're not attached to that realm that's all spiritual. You're attached to the temporal. You want to be the enjoyer of the temporal, and so you suffer. It's a nice road to go down, but we'll go there. So that was his question. Two questions: who am I, and why am I forced against my will to undergo unhappy existence, miserable existence? And that discussion, and I wanted to read from part of that discussion. So it's that's the context. The context is Lord Chaitanya is answering questions. Sanatana Goswami is asking the questions. He's looking to Lord Chaitanya as authority. He's vastly learned, but he's looking up to him as a spiritual authority from whom I can understand better things that I have an inkling of now, but I want a crystal clear understanding so I can go forward with my life spiritually and, be happy spiritually. That's the context. Okay. Now, there's a bookmark because I asked her to mark the book. There's a series of verses. In what we were doing this past weekend, chanting of Hare Krishna mantra, I spent about an hour and a half plus covering one of 8 teachings Lord Chaitanya gave about chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. And we got through 4 of them, and then time ran out, so I just sped through the last ones. But there's stages. Chanting, when done properly, chanting can elevate consciousness to a stage that's really high. It's not ordinary consciousness. It's transcendental consciousness, or bhava in Sanskrit means ecstasy. Not the ecstasy of something the senses and sense objects kind of ecstasy. Anyway, it's of the soul. The soul in contact with Supreme Soul, and the experience, direct experience, is ecstatic. It's called bhava. In the stage of bhava, there's many nice things, but it's a symptom of the stage of bhava is there's such a happiness that even the idea of liberation is considered insignificant. Liberation is like, let me out of this crazy place. I want to go to the good place, please. Get me out of here. I tried and I tried and I tried and I tried, and this way and that way, and lifetime after lifetime, and it's not the right place to find happiness. We don't find water in a desert. It's by definition, so not a place where there's water. That's what a desert is. So this place is like that. It's not a place where there's happiness. And when I want happiness that's not temporary, but permanent happiness, that's a hankering for it's aspiration, a desire for liberation. This stage of bhava is so high that it just considers liberation is absolutely insignificant. I mean, let people who want that go for it and achieve it. Fantastic for them. But no thanks. It's like when you're hungry. It's a very good comparison. When you're hungry, have you fasted before? Okay, so when you're fasting, there's different things your body goes through, and one of the things is you feel a little weak, and but there's a reason for fasting, whatever that different purposes for health or something, purifying, getting rid of toxins, and people do fastings for different reasons. And when you break the fast, there's three things that happen, generally speaking. This is from scripture now. Your hunger subsides, strength comes back to the body, and you're feeling satisfied. At a certain point, it's like somebody may say, would you like something more? Like some more of this, or maybe some more of that? No, thank you. I'm satisfied. So this stage of bhava is more than satisfied. And when someone says, "Do you like some more?" It's, oh, thank you, but no, thank you. I'm full. I'm more than full. I'm brimming. Thank you, but no, thank you. So the stage of bhava is like that for on a spiritual trajectory. It's so powerful and so fulfilling. The material happiness, there's not even a thought of it, and liberation, release from material bondage, it's insignificant. So Lord Chaitanya is we were discussing on Friday evening, that stage of bhava that is a natural byproduct of mantra meditation. If done properly, when done properly, one becomes qualified to receive that experience. And I was referring, when we on Friday evening, I was referring to a verse that's from this section that I'm going to slowly get the chance to read if I stop talking too much, where Lord Chaitanya is instructing Sanatana Goswami. I'll summarize it first, and then I'll read the exact translation. The summary is, human life is meant for, and human life commences when there's desire or inquiry or hankering to know who you are and where you've come from. Like, what's it all about, Alfie? The Broadway show. What's going on, and how to understand what's going on, and knowledge that leads to self-knowledge and knowledge of the Supreme and one's relationship with the Supreme. Human life is when one directs one's activities in that way. Prior to that, it's polished animal life, according to the Vedic picture. So they're discussing this topic, and Lord Chaitanya is saying with that process of acting in that bhakti yoga kind of lifestyle, there are two things that happen: cleansing on the outside and awakening on the inside. When behavior and speech and conduct and demeanor and culture and everything becomes polished instead of rough. And then the inside is this higher consciousness status becomes awakened, et cetera, et cetera. So that's their topic as they're discussing. Then he goes on, Lord Chaitanya goes on to explain that like a seed has life inside, but it can stay dormant for a long time. But then you can sprout the seed after a long time. And when the seed sprouts, you should know there's life inside, and that life in its mature stage, in the language of what we were discussing Friday evening, is love of God. It's already there, just covered in a dormant state. And instead of loving God, we're loving money or loving something. Our family or my motorcycle or whatever people love. And the spiritual process is to awaken spiritual objects, affinity for spiritual activity and spiritual objects. Love for the Supreme. Love supreme. So I'm going to read what Lord Chaitanya has to say. Don't do that. Don't do that. Let them just be peaceful. Hare Krishna, thanks. Okay. So that's the background, the context, and I'm going to read starting from text 104. So Sanatana Goswami says to Lord Chaitanya, actually, I do not know how to inquire about the goal of life and the process for obtaining it. Being merciful upon me, please explain all these truths. The reply, Lord Krishna has bestowed his full mercy upon you so that all these things are known to you. For you, the threefold miseries certainly do not exist. Since you possess Lord Krishna's potency, you certainly know all these things. However, it is the nature of a sadhu, a holy person, saintly person, to inquire. Although he knows these things, the sadhu inquires for the sake of strictness. Those who are eager to awaken their spiritual consciousness and who thus have unflinching, undeviated intelligence certainly attain the desired goal of life very soon. This is the wrong chapter. It's supposed to be chapter 22. Could you find the right volume? This is chapter 20, and I need chapter 22. Madhya Lila, chapter 22, text 104. Madhya Lila, chapter 22. Find the page. Find the page. Chapter 22, text 104. So that you got the drift there. Who am I and why am I suffering? And you know the answer. You're just asking for strictness, but so he still gave the answer. My dear Sanatana, now please hear about the regular principles for the execution of devotional service. By this process, one can attain the highest perfection of love of Godhead, which is the most desirable treasure. Did you find it? You're searching for the verse. Okay. Then he quotes, when transcendental devotional service, by which love for Krishna is attained, is executed by the senses, it is called sadhana bhakti. That's practice. That's what we were doing this weekend. Practice and practice. Or the regulative discharge of devotional service. Such devotion eternally exists within the heart of every living entity. That's the seed that's dormant. And devotional service wakens the seed. It awakens the seed, like sprouting a seed, and making a garden and growing plants and the things that you do with seeds. The awakening of this eternal devotion is the potentiality of devotional service and practice. So there's stages, and it starts with sprouting the seed. The spiritual activities of hearing, chanting, remembering, and so forth are the natural characteristics of devotional service. The marginal characteristic is that it awakens pure love for Krishna. Now, what does that mean? So, there's a horse that pulls the cart. And in the cart, there's all kinds of things. And one of those things that's in the cart is love of God. But the horse that pulls the cart is the hearing and chanting. So our focus doesn't go on what we're going to get, because that's in the cart. But we focus on who we are and what we're doing, because that will become who we are and what we're, the mature fruit of hearing and chanting. It'll come. We don't have to obsess about it or try for it or something like that. It's a byproduct. It's secondary. The Sanskrit, for those of you that like Sanskrit terms, is tatastha lakshana. It's a marginal characteristic. And there's a swarup, or principal characteristic. Hearing and chanting is principal. Love of God is tatastha. Isn't it interesting? I find it interesting. There are two processes of practical devotional service. One is regulative, the other is spontaneous. One is regulative, that's the regulations of. So like, here's a regulation. Don't eat meat, be vegetarian. That's a do and a do not. It's a regulation. For one who is on the platform of spontaneous, there's no question of taking the life of an animal. It's like unthinkable. To say, I sustain my life, I take the life of another. No, thank you. Is there a way to sustain my life without taking the life of another? Yes. Isn't that better? Yes. So there's regulative and there's spontaneous. And there's many, 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 many examples that can be given to explain it. A nice one, like what we did this past weekend. There was regulative. we had a weekend where we're focusing on practice, sadhana, of absorption in mantra meditation. Then there's a stage, eventual stage, where it's just spontaneous. One chance not because, it's just one chance. It's just the sound vibration of the name of the Supreme Lord, it just flows. And there's examples. But that stage is a natural process. The other is a regular process. That's what is being stated. No purport. Those who have attained, this is now text 109. Those who have not attained the platform of spontaneous attachment in devotional service, render devotional service under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, according to the regular principles mentioned in the revealed scriptures. According to the revealed scriptures, this kind of devotional service is called Vaidhi Bhakti. And he gives examples. And I'm going over to 111. Wait a minute, something's missing. The part that's missing, I don't know where that part that's missing. He makes a statement, rather than fumbling around, he makes a statement that says that within the heart of every living entity, it's this seed concept. Within the heart of every living entity, there's love of God. It's already there. It's not something you go to Kmart and, pay something and you get something. It's already there. It just has to be awakened. And part of the thing that makes it something that's in a seed-like stage is the seed, the covering of the life that's inside the seed. And nature makes seeds such that the seed stays for a long time. Unless you put it in a fire and you fry the seed and then the life is killed, then there's no life inside the seed anymore. But if you don't do something like that, it can stay for a long time. A little sharing, just to break the flow. Once upon a time, I was a little boy. And when I was a little boy, I was always curious about things. So one of the things that I was curious about was, is it true that in the seed of a mango, in a mango pit, there's a mango tree? I was curious. So I asked some people that knew about cultivation, and I went through the procedure they recommended. I took a pit, a mango pit or seed, and put it in a certain solution, and at a certain temperature, to see if what was inside that hard shell was a mango tree. Is it true? There's the theoretical and there's the experience. And fast forward, after some time, it took a bunch of time because mango pits are really hard. But it started to soften, and sure enough, what was inside started to poke out the edges. It got bigger and bigger, and the hard shell fell off. And there was this life of a mango tree inside. No, I didn't continue after that because I understood after that it takes who knows how many years for that little thing that's broke out of the shell to become a tree. But it's a principle. So the principle that being applied to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's discussion with Sanatana Goswami is, within there's this seed, or it already exists love of God. And sadhana is to awaken it. But part of awakening it is you have to take the covering off. And then at the same time, simultaneously awakening, cleansing, and awakening. That's what sadhana does. If we're doing it nicely, of course, you can do it not so nicely, and it still has some benefit, spiritual benefit. But the purpose is not just some spiritual benefit. The purpose is, the awakening of love of God. And then there's stages and stages and stages and stages of that. But it's something that's already within. So we just spent, many of us spent, a day and a half, 2.5, all day Sunday, most of the day Saturday, and a little bit on Friday evening, working on sadhana, the practice of, according to the regulations. And there's teachings given by given by Lord Chaitanya to Sanatana Goswami's brother, how to transition from regulative to spontaneous, because spontaneous, it moves more swiftly. Both can achieve the same result in terms of love of God, but there's qualities of that love of God that are a little different. So there's so many nice things to say about devotional service. The main thing I wanted to spend time today is, this evening, what we're doing is Krishna himself speaking in the capacity of a devotee of Krishna, that is Lord Chaitanya, to one of Lord Chaitanya's devotees, Sanatana Goswami, how to come to the stage where you know who you are, and the miseries of material life are no longer. That you're just like the shell is gone, and life is there, and you're living your life without the shell, without the miseries. You can be in the world, but not of the world. I was before coming here to Phoenix, I was in Detroit. One of the last things I did in Detroit was visit University of Michigan. And it went at a time, they thought, let's not do this because it's exam time. And who's going to come during exam time? Undergraduate students, they have exams up to here. But the graduate students, they don't have that. So we had a program with graduate students, and the room is packed. They have a nice gathering of graduate students at University of Michigan. And one of the questions, he asked the question 3 times because he didn't get it. I think when some people don't get it, it's because they don't want to get it. So even you explain it, they don't get it. And they ask it again, and they ask it again. So he wanted me to explain being in the world but not of the world, and asked it 3 times. In the world means, that's us. We're spirit soul, that's who we are. We're a tiny, according to Bhagavad Gita, angsa, or a little fragmental part of the whole. The whole is the source of everything, and we're a tiny fragmental part of everything, or the source of everything. Angsa in Sanskrit. Mamev angsa jiva loke. Jiva means living entity. That's us. Jiva, the soul. Mam, that's Krishna speaking. That's me. Mam, eva, certainly. Angsa means this little fragmental spark, or little part, little expansion. Mam, eva, angsa. Jiva, that's the living entity. Living entity is a tiny fragmental angsa, or part of that whole. So here we are. in the field of Prakriti. It's a very ABC basic thing. There's matter, there's a spirit, there's a controller, both. And the topic is covered over and over again from different perspectives, but it's a fundamental. There's matter and the spirit, there's controller, both. So we're in the position of being in matter, although we're spirit. Some of you like Bhagavad Gita. Those of you that like Bhagavad Gita, I encourage you read chapter 13, text 20 and 21. Purushat prakriti sohi bhunkte prakriti jangunan karanam gura sangosa sadasad yoni janmaso. Which the commentary says there are these three things. It's the chapter title that Prabhupada has given is Nature, the Enjoyer, and Consciousness. Nature, material nature. The enjoyer, who's the enjoyer? And then there's the conscious entity. We're imitation enjoyers. We're imitating the Supreme, who is the enjoyer of his energy. This is his energy. Well, we're in his energy, and although we're moving about in his energy, we're identifying with it. We forgot who we are. We're thinking who we aren't is who we are. I'm American. I'm a male. I'm a sannyasi. I'm these many years old, and da 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 da. It's all who we're not. It's the covering. It's the shell of the mango seed, but it's not the mango. It's not the life inside the mango seed. It's not the life. It's the covering. So in the world, but not of the world, in the world is the souls are in Prakriti. And the Prakriti doesn't become the living entity. You can't mix together material nature and make life. No such thing. Chemical evolution. Humbug. No such thing. Life doesn't come from combination of matter. So although we're in matter, we're not of matter. And yoga is to make your connection with the supreme enjoyer, the supreme consciousness. So I know exactly who I am, and I can move about through the field of matter without being disturbed. Wouldn't that be nice? You can still, the body will still get old and die and get diseases. But we don't want the birth again part. And if there's birth again, back to the stage of bhava is such that even that promise, no more birth, it's insignificant. It's something, but it's insignificant. It's quite insignificant for one who has achieved the stage of bhava bhakti. And the practice that we were doing this past weekend, according to the teachings of Lord Chaitanya to Sanatan and Rupa Goswami, is to get to that stage where that which is dormant within fully awakens. And it's in stages, like the cultivation of something you want to grow, like a mango tree. And it takes time. One last thing, and I'm going to end. My father was an outdoorsy type. So we did lots of things. We had a large 5 children in the family, and we did lots of outdoorsy things. And one of the things that we did is in the season, we'd take these little wicker baskets, and we go where you can do it. It's like, it wasn't poaching. There's places you can go and you just pick strawberries and pick blueberries. And we came back home with baskets full of, nature's bounty. And Mom would go to the kitchen and make apple pie and blueberry muffins and, It was just a family thing, and a lot of it was within nature. So my father decided one day he was going to plant a peach tree. So I remember very clearly, little kid looking at the peach tree. Where are the peaches? Where are the peaches? Be patient. It takes time. Next year, spring season, little leaves came out of the branches, but no peaches. Where are the peaches? Be patient. This is over several years. Finally, these little green things came. Oh, the peaches. No. It's going to take another couple of years. We moved before they produced peaches. But yeah, it takes time. It takes time. My dear devotees, this morning at 4:30 a.m., this morning I was giving a class to 180 Chinese devotees at 4:30 a.m. on the Canto 2, chapters 4 through 10. And in Canto 2, chapters, this isn't, you're not going to relate to any of this, but that's okay. Just appreciate what we're talking about. There's a discussion between Shukadev Goswami and Maharaj Parikshit. Maharaj Parikshit wants to know the process of creation. It's a nice topic. How did this place come about anyway? And it's similar to Sanatana Goswami's asking, you already know, you're this vastly learned person, but you're asking for good exercise. So I'll explain. But I'll explain, Shukadev says, by the same discussion that took place between Lord Brahma and Narada Muni, and between Lord Brahma and Narada Muni, how the whole shebang, how the whole thing unfolds from the very, 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 very beginning of creation, before there was anything. Anyway, won't redo the whole class, but the process of inquisitiveness, for Lord, part of that discussion is for Lord Brahma, he tells to Narada how he got realization. In the process of creation, Lord Brahma says, before I could create, there had to be all the elements. This is how all the elements came about. And then when I appeared from the body of Vishnu, and I didn't know who I was, same question, who am I question. It's in the Canto 2, chapter 4 and 5. So I was born on a lotus, and climbed down the stem of the lotus. I couldn't find my origin, but I heard these two syllables, ta, pa. Ta, pa means tapasya. He understood what it meant. He didn't go to school. There was no school. There was nothing. Darkness in all directions. But he knew what to do, so he went back up, did 1,000 celestial years. We were chanting yesterday for some number of hours. And, it was wonderful. Sometimes challenging, but wonderful. My bros, 1,000 celestial years. And then Lord Vishnu came before Lord Brahma and said, Haribol, you desired to see me, here I am. And what is it that I can do for you? Could you describe this process of creation for me? And how do I do what I'm supposed to do? Well, how do I carry out my duties? Anyway, the point I wanted to make, I made. That is, it takes time. It takes time for a peach tree to produce peaches. It takes time for Lord Brahma to undergo tapa, to become qualified to build the universe. It takes time for us to awaken that which is dormant within. Love of God that's already there, but dormant within. It took time for the mango life within a mango seed to bulge its way out of the shell. So, but although we have to be patient, we also have to be very clear. What's the next step? What's the next step? What's the next step? Don't become discouraged and continue taking the next step from some source that's a genuine source. The Bhagavad Gita is such a genuine source. There are many translations that it's like the cable that's lying on the floor that isn't connected to the powerhouse or the outlet in the wall, or the wire is broken or something. Won't give electricity, though it may look like an electric wire. So we need the right source, and then follow the sadhana practices carefully. That's what we did this past weekend. Like, information, but information is meant to bring transformation, not just information. So I'm looking forward to the next time we have a japa retreat together. And I'm looking forward to some of you, many of you will take those teachings that were theory and conceptual and apply them, like Lord Chaitanya's teaching here to Sanatana Goswami, the regulative and spontaneous ways of devotional service, how to get to the goal, how to awaken that which is within and remove the coverings that are keeping us from that which is within. That's human life. Namapriya, you have a lot of friends.
We have a very nice congregation program.
Well, besides your next door neighbor, you have a lot of friends. Look. There's more people here than there were in the temple. It's her cooking, I think. Okay, any discussion? Yeah.
Thank you so much for your purifying instruction. And my quick question is, Maharaj, sometime, when we are talking to some devotees or listening to them, some devotees say that, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had directly instructed on a 6 astikam, that, the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu through that. And all the teachings that are here are based on those teachings that was, explained by, different acharyas such as, Krishnadas Kaviraj, Vrindavan Das Thakur. I'm just trying to clarify for myself, is it based on those teachings that these things are established, what we are discussing today, or is that in a separate context?
I'm not sure what your question is. These 8 teachings, to help our guest that knew completely, Lord Chaitanya gave teachings in there's 8 verses, and they're written. And we know that he's the author, or he's the source of them. Then his question is, there are other teachers with other teachings, and is it everything rooted in those 8 teachings, or were there other teachings that they're rooted in those other teachings? That's your question.
Yes, ma'am.
The answer is, the foundation includes the foundation includes everything, and not but, and there's elaborations on those foundations. Just like this morning at around now probably 5:30 instead of 4:30, we covered the 4 essential verses, the Chatur Shloki verses of the Bhagavatam. So one could say, rightly so, that everything that's in the other verses of the Bhagavatam are contained within those 4 verses. Or the other way, the 4 verses expanded makes the entire Srimad Bhagavatam. Everything that's in the Bhagavatam has their roots in those 4 verses. Say it either way. And that's a legitimate thing to say. And there are other teachings besides directly what's elucidated in those 4 key verses. And there are other teachers giving other teachings that elaborate but the root is there. So one could say that about, in response to your question, these 8 verses of Lord Chaitanya, that's like, everything is there. And he expanded. I mean, just like we're reading in Chaitanya Charitamrita. There's many, it's a big, there's 17 volumes. It's a big book. Everything is there in those 8 verses. And he has many other teachings. And the teachings and the philosophy, and also in terms of etiquette. In terms of etiquette, for example, respect. It's not directly in Shikshashtaka, but it's a characteristic of someone who has good character, is refined. Even somebody that's nasty, you respect. On the spiritual platform, we gave examples. Respect. It was one of those classes on Saturday. The culture, the chanting with respect, and what does respect mean, and what does it look like? So Lord Chaitanya demonstrated respect, and others and others and others. So and then what if you're going to respect a nasty person? What to speak of Scripture? What to speak of the holy name? But what does respect of the holy name look like? So embedded within these 8 teachings, Shikshashtaka, one can say respect is there. But then there's elaboration and elaboration. So the essence and then the elaboration. And then commentators saying further, like you gave examples of names, commentators who write this and that and the other thing and the other thing. Yeah. You had 2 questions. We'll come back. No, it's okay. No, it's okay. You got the mic.
I'm just wondering what you think, if it's better to be more precise, because I was thinking about the verse, Kriti Sajya Bhavet Sajya, Sajya Bhavas, something or other. But that verse basically explaining that the goal of sadhana bhakti is bhava.
Yes.
So a lot of the time, there's a culture that I've noticed amongst devotees to say that, you ask, well, I'm chanting for purity, to purify myself.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering, is it better to be more precise with our language and perhaps our intention of why we're doing the sadhana?
Oh, yeah. But, there can be stages of the why as well. That can be. There are stages of why. Let's say from the get-go. It's crazy here. I want to get away from crazy. Let me out of here. This place is crazy. So that can be an intention. Kleshagni, reduction of suffering. It's a byproduct of, it's in the cart, and the horse is in the front. But it's a byproduct. So one can practice for the byproduct reason. I want my miseries to diminish, please. Thank you very much. And it happens. And awakening of shubhada, awakening of auspiciousness, it happens. But that's one of the things in the cart, not the horse. So it's same. So there can be different, as you're saying, precise in the language of intention or purpose. Yes. But it can change or modify or grow or mature or become more refined as one goes along. So one can say this, one can say that, one can say the other thing. It doesn't mean if this is right, then the other two are not right.
should one be scared that they get stuck on a lower?
Well, that's
purpose?
possible. So what do you do to minimize the chance of possibility? Keep good association. Sadhu Sangha. And do your devotional bhajana kriya nicely in association of saintly people. And just keep doing that. And slowly, if I get stuck, someone's going to reach out, tap me on the shoulder. Prabhu, I think you're stuck. And, gently, not like smack them on the head, but gently help them to get unstuck. I have lots of conversations like that where people are stuck and they ask a question like this example, being in the world but not of the world. It's pretty simple, but he asked the question. He's a grad student, smart guy. He had to ask the question 3 times. I still don't know if he got it. I asked him, is it clear? And the other 2 times it was no. And then one time it was yes. So maybe he just was being kind to me or something. But sometimes people don't get it because they don't want to get it. So it's good to keep good association. Persons that if you hold a person with regard, they'll feel it. And if they're a gentle soul, they may, in a gentle way, help you if you get stuck. They may decide just like, he needs to hang out in stuck land for a while before I reach out to him or her. It's okay. And anyway, so it's good to be, back to your initial question, it's good to be precise, but that will change. If you're progressing, it's going to change. The articulation of intention is going to change. But it's good to have an intention. It's very simple. Sankalpa. One of the things that we do, that we didn't do this time, is a Sankalpa ceremony at japa retreats. Some of you may be familiar with that. We ask everybody, sit down, here's a piece of paper, please write down. It's for you, it's not for me. You don't get a grade on this. It's what's your intention in being here. And, make it yours. You own it. What are you here for? This is the why question. Is your language. So why is a very important question. And it's going to be different for different people and different for the same person at different times. It's quite okay. But where there's intention, this is a little cute saying, where there's intention, attention goes. And where attention goes, energy flows. That's it. Vaisheshika Prabhu saying. You know Vaisheshika Prabhu? Where intention goes, energy flows. He's like book distributor. Huh? Oh. Okay, so you know him. Where intention goes, energy flows. And where attention goes, it follows where attention goes is where intention. Then you pay attention to what your intention is. Okay? Okay, he's happy now. Anything else?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Oh, right here.
I'm a new devotee, but trying to be following the system, trying to learn. I got a very good understanding on Bhagavad Gita.
Okay.
Been practicing quite a bit in different groups. putting a lot of work, and also we are learning in the morning. We're doing the Srimad Bhagavatam.
Really?
Yeah, we are Srimad Bhagavatam, and up to a certain extent, we did Chaitanya Charitamrita as well. My question to you is, I still, when you do it, if you look at it, Bhagavad Gita, I've been born in a family where my father also taught me so much, but I never got this much detail, like the explanation. I don't know, every time I read about Bhagavad Gita from how Srila Prabhupada explained it, it goes to me, it touches my heart. So I got it, I'm learning all these things, and I was able to pick up the Srimad Bhagavatam also because it's at the higher level, but when it comes to Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is going above my head sometimes because I'm unable to tell. I can connect the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam very well. I'm actually allowed to do it and read more and more. But when it comes to Chaitanya Charitamrita, honestly, I'm unable to tell what am I missing. I'm unable to connect the dots, even though.
Okay, so
when is the right time?
That's the preamble. What's your question besides sharing with us?
My question to you is, when is the right time for a devotee to pick up Srimad Bhagavatam? When is the right time for a Srimad devotee to pick up Chaitanya Charitamrita? And when is the right time?
Okay. Give the microphone to somebody else.
Hare Krishna.
This kind of question can get dragged out. Something that Srila Prabhupada said made a lot of sense to me. It may make sense to you. When you lick on ice cream, it doesn't matter what side you lick on. It's sweet. That means, so once upon a time I was a new devotee. About 55 years ago, I was a new devotee, and we had morning Bhagavatam, evening Bhagavad Gita class, and there was right from the get-go. When are you ready? When, just anytime you're ready. And it's good to have the foundation of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam to enter into. Prabhupada gave this explanation for your benefit. Bhagavad Gita, undergraduate. Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam, graduate. Chaitanya Charitamrita, this one that I just read from, postgraduate. So when are you ready for postgraduate? You do your undergraduate, please. But if you're as an undergraduate, if you start reading postgraduate material, you'll have a sense of where the train is going. It may be above your head or a little hard to process or something like that. It's okay. It's okay. It's sweet, and you'll understand this is a sweetness that I'm not there yet, but it's really sweet. And that's probably what your experience is. I mean, if you like these other two books, probably what your experience is. Want a copy? You have it at home? Do you attend a class that your father attends? Oh, uncle. Ah. Okay. He's giggling. I remember when you and Dad came in yesterday, and you're sat with Mom over in the back by the Tulsi. There's Mom. You were very peaceful. It looked like from a distance anyways. He's a nice boy. Okay, anyone else? Yes, in the back.
What? You mentioned
mentioned about 4 verses from which Srimad Bhagavatam was expanded into. What
Speak
are
slowly. Just speak. I spoke about what now, please?
four verses?
Four verses,
slokas?
nutshell verses, Chatur Sloki verses.
Yes.
You want to
from-
know where they are?
Yes.
Okay, sure. Canto 2, write it down. You have a good memory or you write things down?
Yeah, I'll write it down.
Okay. Canto 2, chapter 9, verses 31, 32, 33, 34. 2, 9, 31 through 34.
Okay. Thank you, Maharaj.
It begins, Aham evasam eva agre. That's the first of the 4 verses. Aham evasam eva agre. The purports are like 3 pages long. When you get that far, you just look for long purports, you'll find them. Okay, someone else? Okay, we're done. Fantastic. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So when I came from Detroit, they loaded me up with half a suitcase full of Mahaprasadam. And because there were so many people at the Japa retreat, I didn't distribute it because it would take a long time. Now there's even more people here than at the Japa retreat. But I'm going to do it anyways because I want to have a lighter suitcase tomorrow. So where's the box? Mahaprasadam box. So don't go away.